I was able to stack up 44,968 points for destroyed ticks on Stellamontis during a night raid. Now the strategy here is ultra simple, it doesn't take a whole lot to get done, but the RNG required to get a lobby where players aren't doing this is the skill gap for this specific challenge. The tough part of Destroy Ticks is there is really only a single viable place to do this, and that is on Stellamontis. So often you're going to find your raids overpopulated with raiders trying to do this challenge, which makes it very, very challenging to get enough ticks to score high points. Now the points that you see here is a direct result of me having an ultra free lobby. I had nobody contesting me for ticks, and I was able to just run the full rotation without anybody getting in my way. The crazy part is that I should have a much higher score, but the spawns that I was getting were terrible for this run. I tried the run again today, and I was able to get 42,000 while I had players contesting me, because the spawns were better overall in a number of places. So just keep in mind as you head into this, that luck plays a significant role here. Now first things first, your equipment. The only two things that I would recommend is something that you're comfortable fighting ticks with. I personally like the Toro because it just makes it super easy to clean them up. And then you need something to take out the shredders as well that you're going to come across. For shredders, I highly recommend the Hole Cracker. You can two-shot shredders using the Hole Cracker, and it makes it very easy to manage them during this rotation. There are essentially 5 total areas on Stellamontis where you're going to find ticks in higher volumes. 4 of those areas are clustered very close together, and the 5th area is a little bit farther apart. The Seed Vault is the #1 best place to find ticks. You can find anywhere from 9 to 15 ticks at any given time if your respawns are great. The Cultural Archives is the second best in my opinion for the total volume of ticks that you can find. You can find anywhere from about 8 to 12 ticks if you get the full room to respawn them. The Medical Bay is the third best in my opinion. You can get anywhere from 5 to 10 ticks depending on your spawns. Business Center can have a decent amount of ticks, anywhere from 3 to 5 to maybe 7 if you get really lucky. More often than not, it's just 3. Communications as well can have 1 to 3 ticks. And then the last place that you can find ticks somewhat regularly is in the western tunnels and sometimes wandering on the metro stairs. In general, ticks will respawn anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes after you've eliminated them if raiders do not come into the area. Any raider being present in any room will cause ticks and other enemies to not respawn. As an example, if you have a single person looting in the Seed Vault, the entire area will not respawn ticks until that raider has left the area and it has been empty for at least 30 to 60 seconds. Now that said, keep in mind that these are just general rules based on my experience having run this a bunch of different times. It won't always be that precise, but it's a good general rule to follow that you want to stay out of an area for at least 60 to 90 seconds before you come back and check for respawn. Once you spawn in, you want to head for the area that is closest to you, but if possible, I do recommend going for the Seed Vault first. Inside, you're going to find one of 2 types of enemies, sentry turrets or ticks. Use your Hole Cracker to take out the sentry turrets, and then use the Toro to take out ticks. Ticks can spawn in all of the different rooms around you, so make sure that you clear out each and every one. I recommend going to the right side first and then working your way back to the left side. Once you've fully gone through all of the area, I recommend leaving out the back with the small door that would be locked otherwise until you exit it from inside the Seed Vault. I always close the door behind me because it lets me know when I come back whether or not somebody has come through that area yet. From the Seed Vault, you want to head up into the Cultural Archives, and I recommend taking a right once you jump up into the space. Head down that entire hallway and you will find ticks on the ceilings, on the walls, and even wandering on the floor. But with them will also be a couple of fireballs or pops, as well as a shredder or 2. Keep in mind that you want to focus your fire onto a tick that's wandering, because if a tick jumps on you and the other enemies are aggroed to you at the same time, you're in a lot of trouble and you can go down super quick. Once you've eliminated all of the enemies on the right side of the Cultural Archives, I recommend taking the zipline or snap hooking up to the Business Center. Inside the Business Center, you can find ticks wandering in the larger open space once you walk in, but the area that I find them more commonly spawned is in the reception area just to the right once you walk into that space. They will usually be on the ceilings or can be wandering around on the floor, sometimes even in the auditorium space. Once you've eliminated all of the ticks, I recommend taking the doorway out of the auditorium and then taking a left to go slightly down that hallway and then jumping up into the crawl space that will drop you down into communications. Once you're down into the communications area, head out to the stairs just to the right of where you dropped down from, and then head up to that space just above it. There's a spiral staircase, and you can find ticks that are either on the ceiling above you or will be wandering around those stairs or on the bottom of the stairs itself. I do recommend running up a floor or two on that spiral staircase just to make sure that you've gotten all of the ticks to aggro in that room. Sometimes they'll just be hanging out on the staircase, and if you don't eliminate them, it will screw up the respawns for your next rotation into that room. Once you've fully eliminated the ticks in the communications, I recommend rotating out towards Atrium and using the little crouch spot to drop down into the Atrium itself. From here, take your first left and then take the zip line down back to the Cultural Archives. Once you land in the Cultural Archives, I recommend running down the left side until you see a large opening into a space that would drop you down into the Western Tunnels. Check the ceilings around that open space and clear out that room of any ticks that might be wandering. From here, you want to run straight across the Cultural Archives hallway, back down into the hallway that takes you over to the Seed Vault. I recommend going to the right and then opening up the Seed Vault's main door and then closing it and restarting your cycle from here. From here, there really isn't a ton more to this challenge. It's really just understanding that core rotation and how to get through each space in an effective way that lets you stack up as many tick eliminations as possible. Keep an eye on where the last extraction is, and hopefully if you get lucky, it will be the Seed Vault exit, which makes it very, very easy for you to just keep farming up to the very last second. But if not, make sure you plan for the runtime that it takes to get to the extraction when there are a lot more enemies spawned on the map in the last couple of minutes of the game. Head back to Speranza, collect any loot if you haven't already, and watch your score fly up the leaderboard. That's going to be it for me today, y'all. Thanks for watching.